Hi, and welcome back to Case Mobile Notaries channel. Thank you for rocking with us and joining us again. Listen, I want to talk about something that I've been, wondering. What if you woke up tomorrow and you weren't able to get a mortgage in your state? Look, we as notaries, this is something that is concerning. And I want to talk about today how you pivot if that was to happen in your state. There's a lot of foreclosures going on. A lot of people are losing their jobs, which means they might not be able to pay for their current mortgages. So, lots of things are happening right now. So they're putting on, even the banks are putting on a lot of lending restrictions. We have just so many things going on with, like, for example, in California with those fires, the insurance companies, they do not want to insure homes anymore in certain areas, which means if you can't get insurance, guess what? You can't get a mortgage. So that's also a problem. So it seems like everything is happening all at the same time. So we need to think about this, okay? So what is the reality of mortgage market shifts? Because this is something that's going on, okay, in our society right now. We as mortgages, we always got to stay ahead of the game. You got to know what's going on in the industry, because down the line and down the road, that's how you are going to get paid, right? Okay, so I'm going to link in the comments about the mortgage industry from the Mortgage Note. It's a resource that I use that kind of helped me go through this here. So I'll link that in the description for you so you can see that. But here, let me just give you a list of states that are experiencing right now a high foreclosure rate. You have states like Delaware, New Jersey, South Carolina, Nevada, and Florida. And you have the wildfires that's been going on and other things like that. So you have other little situations where some insurance companies are moving out because of some of the disasters that are happening there. So the impact of inflation, unemployment, and high interest rates, all of these lending policies that they're raising the rates on certain things is the reason why this is happening, okay? So banks are tightening up restrictions, not giving as many approvals, even reducing some of their loan programs that they have as well. So it's harder to even get a loan to get a mortgage, right? So let's talk about how this affects notaries, okay? So that's what we all came here for. We want to know how it's going to affect us. And I bet you can already guess, right? So because many of us notaries, we rely on the mortgage industry, right? To doing loan signings, refinances, reverse mortgages. We rely on those. So if you're doing loan signings, and if you can tell, it has been slowing down a little bit, as far as what I can tell. What's coming through now a lot is like loan modifications, things like that. So start looking at, really what you're getting so you can see if this is affecting you in your area as well. So there's going to be less loan activity, less mortgages, less loan signings. So what do you need to do? You need to diversify, right? So I hope you've been doing that. If you hadn't been thinking about it, let's think about it right now, because it's going to be coming. It might not seem like it right now, but it's coming down the road, okay? So if you're in a high foreclosure state, you're going to see reduced demand from your title companies, right? And lenders, because there's not going to be a lot of mortgages going on because they're in foreclosure, right? Some loan signing agents could face major income losses if you don't pivot, okay? So that's why we're talking about this today. So I want you to stay ahead of the curve, okay? See it coming down the road. See it coming down the road. When you see it's coming down the road, that means you need to do something about it, right? Okay, so how to pivot. That's what we're going to talk about next. What can you do? You're going to have to do more specialty notary work. You're just going to have to do it. You're going to have to start marketing yourself. You're going to have to put yourself out there. You're going to have to start doing more estate plannings, wills, right? Power of attorneys, because you can do those sometimes at your hospitals, doing your medical directives, right? Your medical forms, things like that. We need to get into that. You also want to get into apostilles if you haven't been doing that. I'm going to link in the description my apostille video that talks about that and why you should be doing apostilles. You want to explore maybe government and business notarizations, okay? You might want to start getting into that field a little bit. So notarizing documents in your local or state agencies, because they need things notarized as well, okay? You want to maybe start marketing to notarize for business agreements, contracts, things like that. Construction permits or construction loans, liens, land banks. I have a video on land banks that I talked about too. I'll link that in the description below as well. So if you didn't get the chance to see that video, that one's a good one also. Okay, and then there might be some seller side closings though, because some people might have to get these properties off their hands, right? They need the money that's in these properties. So you might get some seller sides. So you might have more maybe like cash deals coming along and things like that, because if they're foreclosed or they're trying to get rid of them to get the money, that means they're gonna probably be at, I'm not gonna say a discounted rate, but they're not gonna be as, it's gonna be at a more affordable rate for some people, for some investors that can purchase it. So you might have more cash deals out there too. Just things like that. So you got to start pivoting now. If you haven't started pivoting, you need to, okay? You need to, because things are happening, and especially if you're any of those states that I just named, okay? I have a video that I'm going to put below also that talks about California a little bit and what's going on with the banks and lending and things like that. They even said in this video that they could be no banks in certain states anymore because they're not lending or doing anything. No banks, no ATMs. Oh my goodness. We don't want that. But, you know, it could be possible. So we got to think about this, right? Okay, so how else you can pivot? You can start doing your RON. If you haven't been doing remote online notarizations, you need to start doing them, because some people might have to turn to digital lenders that will allow certain transactions, even if their local banks are tightening restrictions, okay? So that might be a thing to do. And then expanding to your RON, or expanding into RON, which is remote online notarization, could give notaries an edge on the traditional mortgage slowdown, because people are, or lenders, banks, title companies, things like that, they're looking on ways to cut costs also, because they know it's going to be slow. So they might start using other alternatives to maybe help with and alleviate some of the costs that they're incurring while they're not doing as many mortgages. So you might want to do something like that, okay? So we're going to wrap this up. You know, I don't want to be here too long at all, like I always do. So tell me, what's your backup plan, right? If mortgages slow down in your area, I want you to put that in the comments below. If you wake up one day and they not lending in your state, you can't get a mortgage in your state, what you gonna do? You gonna move? What you gonna do? I don't know what you gonna do, but you need to figure it out, okay? So I want to thank you for watching, where we help you level up your learning so you can level up your life. And I want to thank you for joining us today, and we will see you on the next video. Bye.